I just said last couple of weeks, I think 4 weeks, I'm talking about after I reconnected with my old friend and the old schoolmate during the last Father's Day. So they all told it's 4 girls and 1 boy, and they all grow up without the father. So today we already talked about the 4 girls' story. And their father either was jailed and sent to the forced labor camp, murdered, tortured, or suicide. So the last story is the boy. His name is Steve, and he lives in New York area right now. And he is also grew up without the father, and he's my older schoolmate. He's class 67. I'm a class 68. He's 1 year older than me. And then we went to the re-education camp together. We went to the same camp. And but he's a very, very shy boy. And he never, when he was young, I think a lot to do with without the father, and he's kind of insecure. He never come out to play with other kids, doesn't matter boys or girls. So we hardly talk to each other. Even we went to the labor camp together, re-education camp together. We hardly talk. I think only once. One time, we have the village. Have this in front of the village. We are living up here, and down there we use the water, the river, and they're always flooded when summertime. So then one time I went to some clinic to get some medicine and come back, and the river was flooded, so can't go across. I saw him just coming down and to fetching some water. And so I just waved at him asking for help, because otherwise I'm not able to cross the river because the current was, because so shallow the river, the current is very, very, very fast, gonna just flash you away. And so he come in, and he was still very shy. He not even try to give me, help me use his hand. He just hand me the tree branch. I hold the branch, he helped me cross the river. So when in the middle of the river, and all of a sudden he went in a deep hole down there, and just flashed away. So good thing I was so lucky. I stand in the higher ground, so I just able to standing and then survived from the river. So we both survived. After a few minutes, we get to the higher ground, so didn't flash away. So that's the second time I was. The first time I was talk to him, contact him. Actually, is. Then I went to. I supposed to go to Shanghai, the science, technology, and the university, but they found out my father have some overseas relationship, so I cannot be trusted to accept it. So they just dumped me there. So even probably a few months later, the Kunming and the technology engineering school accept me. And at that time, Steve was sent to a very remote village as a teacher, to teaching over there, the elementary school. And when we leaving, and they all coming to say goodbye to me, and so he said that he wanted to go to the university. He tried maybe next year, and maybe next year. So it's already tried, I think, 3 years. He tried very, very hard. And finally, he's always the exam and test result, he always the number one. But because his father's problems, so they never accept him. Finally, and I think that I was in third year college, finally he be accepted and go to not just Yunnan, is go to Shanghai and teachers college to study the mathematics. Because he's very good at mathematics. Anyway, so that's the second time I have a chance to talk to him. He stopped and called me, and I took him to lunch. I asked him, I said, so many years you still keep going. So what really keep you going? And he was silent for a while. Then he told me, he said that humiliation. Humiliation. So then he told me something about his father's story. And so his father was born in Australia and studied in Germany. I think I studied chemistry. He's an engineer. And that now I have to tell you some about some Chinese history. I don't know. Maybe Billy and Nan, maybe you heard about that. You know, that time in 1943, and they have this called a Sino-American Special Technical Cooperative Organization, short for SACO, SACO. It's basically not with communist China. It's before communist with the Kuomintang government, America. The two countries have mutual treaty, and to forming an intelligence gathering entity. So that's the entity called SACO. And so his father was an engineer and is still working in Germany, because he was born in Australia, so his English and German all very good, but he's Chinese origin. And so that time after Pearl Harbor, and I think he should go back to China and to helping the Kuomintang government to fight the Japanese. And so he took a great risk. And all the way, I think, from Hamburg to London, and then all the way from London, all the way the ship to Shanghai. And then arriving in Shanghai, he said that he wanted to helping and fighting a Japanese, what kind of place he can go. So somebody told him, but you speak perfect, because English is your first language. He was born in Sydney, Australia. He said that, so you also speak German, so we had to introduce you to that SACO, Special Technical Cooperative Organization, which was China and American established. And so they sent him to Sichuan, Chongqing. That time, the Kuomintang's capital during the Japanese occupation, they moved the capital to Chongqing. So that place was located in Chongqing. So he joined it. And somehow it's really a wrong place and a wrong time. And he didn't know anything, because this organization is supposed to fighting the Japanese, right? And then I think they did, actually. It's nothing to do to capture communist party members, torture them. It's absolutely against the Japanese, gathering intelligence information. And of course, they need all different technologies. And so they hire those engineers. I think from 1943 to 1946, 3 years, they training about 3,000 those special force against the Japanese. I think kill 70,000 Japanese military, this guerrilla. And then they also into sabotage, I think, destroy some 200 bridges, everything, all good things they did. Of course, 1946, the war is over, Japanese surrender, and so don't need it. So they dissolved, and no more. But he also come back to Shanghai and working in the chemical factory as an engineer. And but during that 46 to 49, And at that time, still the Kuomintang and control China, not the Communist Party. And he was a guy didn't know anything about politics because most of his life or living in the free world, and he didn't know anything about communist or anything. And he also not interested, not joining anything. So he just working as an engineer, and get married. And at that time, I think in 1947, he have a daughter. And my friend Steve was born in 1951. So basically, a very happy family. But what happened is after communists took over, and they named that organization, SECO, is Imperial, the capitalist, American, foreign aggressor or whatever they call, and they were use this organization to capture communist party member, torturing whatever. So they also set up it's like a museum, and they use a handcuff and everything, say that's the evidence to show this organization was torturing communist party member. Also, somebody wrote a book called The Red Rock or something, and making a movie, and also make the opera or something. And so make everybody know that's the very bad place as American and Kuomintang government cooperated organization. So anybody was work for that organization, and they're gonna be captured, they're gonna be arrested and sent to the jail and prison. And so this guy were captured in 1952 because they say that he joined there. He didn't do anything. He just engineer. And also, the time he was there, they did everything against the Japanese. So he's supposed to be a hero, right? But end up becoming a criminal. So they arrested him and sent to a prison, and actually the forced labor camp. Near Shanghai. And so for almost 30 years. So when Steve was born, 1951, I think 1 year old, and his father sent away. And they labored an anti-revolution family. So it's immediately becoming an enemy of the state. So they also lost the income because the father's only one work. So the mother had to do everything could and to feed the family. And so I remember he taught everybody in the apartment, all the people, complex, all the girls to learn piano. So we pay her 6 yuan a month to learn piano. So he get 10 students, so that to make some, to buy some food to feed the kids. And so I'm trying to say is that finally, 1981 or something, and that this old guy released from the prison. He was an old guy. I never met him. First I met him in San Francisco. And, I saw when he was young, their wedding pictures. And he was a handsome young man. And, of course, he got out of jail, and he hardly can speak anymore. It's because nobody talked to him in the labor camp, whatever. So he lost the ability to speak. And then the whole family, 1981, they prepared to immigrate to Canada, because Steve already out to Canada study in the university, Alberta University. And so the whole family going to move there. But he's the only one who didn't want to go. So they were asking, why you don't want to go? He said, I just, if I going to meet all my old friends, if they still alive, all, classmates, relatives, everybody, they're going to ask, what did you do all your life? He said, how I can answer? They said, well, you don't have to say anything. He said, I just don't want to talk to anybody. I just don't want to go. So he said, I just die in whatever the apartment in Shanghai. He said, you guys go. But finally, they convinced him to Canada. And so I'm talking about in Chinese jail, they can turn a person, basically, it's like a dead man walking, took away everything and including your soul, your spirit, you basically dead, just the body still there. So that's what I'm talking about. That's the last story about the father.